All right, was it good for you too? I mean, oh, hey, we're back. Cool. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get into Orsinium. So, Orsinium is a pretty easy dungeon, all things considered. It's not nearly as insane as some of the more later quest dungeons get. I will admit, I know what I'm looking for. I just don't remember how to get there. I just have the vague memory of how to do it. This is probably the most balanced out of all the quest dungeons because it's not... First of all, it's not undead. Second of all, it's orcs, so you have good loot. Third of all, it's not as cryptic as some of the other dungeons are. And trust me, it is a godsend to go through after some of the other ones you end up going through. I don't mind this one so much, if you couldn't tell. Because A, I like Orsinium. It's a pretty cool dungeon. It's not super hard. So what I'm looking for is basically a letter. This is the letter, the one we actually started the whole quest with, right? The one that the Emperor said, hey, don't let it get out of control. So if you couldn't tell, Gortwog doesn't seem so fucking concerned about it. He's like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. So that's probably not good. We're in the right area at this point. Because I think the Dwarvens, nice, some fucking dwarven booties almost. Well, not booties, but dwarven panties, nice. So we're in the right area. I told you about this module before, and I'm not kidding, I'm not gonna fuck with it. Well, let's just go up here, because I think this is the... Oh, that's a sergeant, by the way. Sergeants are the second highest orc tier for melee, and then next to that they have... That's just an orc. You can tell the difference based on their armor they're wearing. So, orcs generally don't drop alchemy ingredients. That's another thing they don't tend to drop, if you're curious. So I know I'm in the right area. This is not the right area. Trust me, when you find the quest locations for the specific dungeons like this, you just know. Believe me, you'll just know. So, one thing you can do is... We've also introduced Gortwog, by the way. So, Gortwog is basically the king of the orcs of the area. Not all the orcs, but I think in this point in time, he is at least fairly well respected among the orcish people. Not by the humans, obviously, because humans don't like orcs. That's just how fantasy rolls, right? But as far as players go, yes, Gortwog is a main player in the story that, well, when we get to it, we'll get to it, right? So, Gortwog is important if you're one of those people who's interested in the orcs' history and stuff. I think this is getting close. So, we're actually, and yes, this is a required quest in the game. And no, there's no secret bullshit, I know that for a fact. I know that some of the dungeons may seem like they would, but when we get there, there's only two, and I'll explain which ones they are right now. Lysandus' Tomb and She Dungeon. And now you're probably thinking, weren't you just in She Dungeon? I was, but I used the general knowledge of telling the skeleton, or sorry, the lich statue to shut up, because that's what a normal human being would do. So we're pretty much like set in terms of having to go there for a while, but when we do, oh boy, we're gonna have to do that when we free Medora, which also we have to go to Durrani Tower, which that is a fucking dungeon. I know what I'm doing when I'm in there, but I mean, I've done it like 4 times recently because you have to go there 4 times, and yeah, by the way, when you exit it, all the dungeon resets, including your map. So if you don't know where you're at, well, that just sucks to be you, doesn't it? Orc strength off of an orc, what do you know? What a bunch of irony, right? I've never really fiddle-faddled around with the Orsinium area in terms of exploration and stuff, so I'm not very familiar with the... It's not a very big province. If you couldn't tell, I mean, the orcs are pretty much... In lore right now, the orcs are pretty much just barbarians, according to most people in Tamriel. Especially, as we'll find out later, I might do Minasera's letters, because it does have a lot... By the way, those letters are not the same as the letter that the Emperor tells you to go find. They're actually two different things. The letter from the Emperor is in this dungeon. This is the one that he told us to go find initially, basically, if you're curious. This is not the way, but I don't mind sidetracking in this dungeon, because if I'm honest, I need the XP and I need some better loot anyways. And I need to level, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to keep pushing forward. I thought that was... Sometimes that can be a secret door, by the way. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. There's actually, like, 2 modules that can spawn like that. And yeah, they're not in any main quest. They're just that way, and I know that, and it's depressing. There's a few quests we can still proc, but like I said, we have to be a certain level to do them. Gortwog, this quest is, like, technically the ending of the, like, the letters section of the main quest. So this ties up one loose branch, basically. And then we also have Soul of a Lich still to do, which is the King of Worms' version. So if you couldn't tell, all the main players in the Iliac Bay. The main players are Sentinel, Wayrest, Daggerfall, King of Worms, the Under King. They're 2 separate entities, by the way. Gortwog, and the Emperor, technically. Holy shit. And, yeah, I think I got all of them. Initially, in development, there was actually the ability to have the player be a main player, but they decided against that, probably for better, I think, personally. So yeah, there's a lot of politics involved here, and each ending, which I'll explain when we get there, because it's too complicated for me to explain it without all the proper context the game has given me up to this point. I know what it is, but you know what I mean. I don't want to spoil it if you've never actually played it or you're interested. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Iliac Bay. If you couldn't tell, Wayrest is pretty shitty, and not anything good comes from Wayrest except corpses, basically. Corpses and incest, essentially. That should be the Wayrest slogan. Just corpses and incest. So, yeah, I think that should be their slogan. Their little standard flag should just be, like, two people wearing shirts that say "we're cousins," and then it just says "we're fucking." Well, sorry, we're siblings and we're fucking. That should just be what their, like, clan sigil is. Sentinel, not so bad. But you can tell just from the the implied text that... So, if you didn't know, or you haven't pieced it together just by me explaining it, because that's fair, essentially Gothrid is the son of... what's his name? Or what's her name? Minasera, right? Minasera doesn't have any power. However, he's married to... what's her name? Abki, who is the brothers, or sorry, her brother and sister, or whatever. Sorry, there's the siblings. The one with the sick kid that we went and got the letter for, and he died, like, in the dungeon, right? So, essentially, we've already determined they have some sort of power, and they've already described war, right? Sentinel and, like, whatever. All their leaders kind of just fucking died in this war, but what was the war over? That's the main question that you need to find out. I do know the answer, but I'm not gonna spoil it, because I'm a bitch. So, yeah, essentially, there's a lot of problems, and obviously, at this point in Elder Scrolls lore, the Empire is not exactly strong, because if you have played Arena... oh, excuse me. In Arena follows up really quickly to Daggerfall. So, basically, after Jaegar Tharn took over, basically. He crippled the Empire and its power and the trust in the people of the Empire. So a letter going missing from the Emperor, which would sound like kind of a big deal, especially when he's like, you know, it's probably no big deal, but you should probably look for it. When he says that Lysandus was a friend, that's kind of a lucky thing at that point, because the Emperor is kind of losing political power as well. Because think about it. Okay, so this is how I look at it too. So Wayrest and Sentinel and Daggerfall are basically all in this fucking massive, like, power vacuum, right? And now that there's been such a dramatic change in political power out of all of these areas, they essentially are doing their own thing. And you'd think, well, why the fuck doesn't the Emperor just go down there himself and say, hey, fucking knock it off, I'm the Emperor, quit it. You're being dicks. Well, what makes you think he could do that? What makes you think he has any power to do that? Because that's the magic of the story. You know, we'll get into it later, won't we? So, as you can tell, you can see why I just don't like the story to Skyrim and shit, because it's just not that deep, it's not that complicated, and yeah, technically this is like very Hamlet-y, especially with the Lysandus and Vengeance thing. That's literally like damn near identical to the plotline of Hamlet and the Ghost of the King, right? And it's all about power being usurped, and stuff like that, minus the expositional dialogue about questioning your own mortality. What a shame. Well, that does kind of come up later, but you know what I mean. Like, I appreciate a very well-constructed story. Because I'm a writer, I actually genuinely like good writing. I know that might sound like a shock, but yeah, when writing's good, I enjoy a game a lot more. I can even look past the gameplay aspect of a game sometimes if the actual story is well written and well explained. One thing I will say is that doesn't always work to me. Some games, like, it is unfair, I feel, but some games like Silent Hill 2 that have notoriously bad gameplay, they have a very well-crafted and uncomfortable story, so it's a little bit unfair for me to say that, but, you know, I, at the same time, kind of think, you know, it's kind of a free pass, but that's not fair. So what I want to do is, last time I played, I did my own kind of canon ending, which I think makes the most sense. This one, I'll do that as well. Because there's actually 6 different endings in Daggerfall. To be fair, half of them are basically the same thing. Like, we'll talk about it when we get there. It's already been name-dropped what the, this could be bad. It's already been name-dropped at one point what the actual, like, thing we're looking for is, but I'm not gonna spoil it if you already couldn't guess. So yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff in this game. Have I really not been in here? But I have, apparently? Okay. The fuck, Seth? Get your shit together. Okay, cool. I guess I didn't look up. That's kind of a bad idea. That was weird. I cannot believe I didn't go through there. That's very unprofessional of me. So, that's also why I said I closed doors and stuff, so I know which area I've already been to. So I think we're pretty much done with this area then. But yeah, this is not a very ultra complicated dungeon, I promise. Yeah, we've already went through this direction. So we're looping around here, so I'm pretty sure we're not in the right spot, but that's fine. Well, it's not. But in terms of, like, actual story, though, I think this game has a very awesome story. It's more... I hesitate to use the term mature, because at the end of the day, it's still an Elder Scrolls game, and it still has to have some simplicity. We'll go down. Am I in the right here? Yeah, we'll go down here, and we'll go down to the area that I know we need to be near. But yeah, there's definitely a level in this game of complexity in the storytelling that I appreciate. And you can be like, oh, I wish it was voice acted, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of like when a game doesn't have voice acting. It's... If you consider how much dialogue is in this game, do you really think that that would be a good idea? There is so much dialogue. God damn it, there we go. I was hoping to knock the bear over. That would have been really fun. Framped, can we not? Just please. But yeah, like, if you think about that, like, yeah, you could have everybody do their dialogue in the most... I mean, then you get the Oblivion problem, or the Skyrim problem, right? Everyone's basically voiced by, like, one person. And it starts to really falter in terms of vocal diversity. Which I don't mind, but I know other people do. And that's definitely a problem. And I know that most players want to, you know, oh, we should just do a remaster of it. And I'm like, you know, this, what I'm playing right now, this is what I consider a remaster. I don't want a reboot. I don't want, you know, a brand new Elder Scrolls 4 version, whatever. But, you know, still. Let's go with 85, and we'll go with some strength. And that actually is great, because I can now do a few more quests. No, not quest start, backup save. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'll be right back. Alright, much better. And I took Framped outside for a minute, and he got freaked out by the construction people outside. It was great. Anyways. So yeah, I do appreciate the, you know, complexity in the storytelling. I don't think it's the greatest game story ever told, but it's pretty good. I mean, the greatest game story ever told is the one that you make yourself. I mean, that's honestly, though, one of the downsides, I think, of Daggerfall. What did I do? Oops. Is you don't actually get much agency in the story. Yeah, that's kind of a problem. In my mind, that's something that's a downside. Because you as the player can break the entire story. And you can't really branch very much of it. Even though it's a very branched and large story, you do not get to choose very much of how much of it plays out. Which I'll explain later, and you'll see more in action later. But still, I think that's one big disadvantage of the story. So, one thing you can also tell is all these players have ultimate, like, goals for what they think, right? Gortwog is pretty solid, though. I think Gortwog is easy to assume is going to be kind of a boring, like, two-dimensional character. Like, he's the orc man, he wants power, but as we'll see later on, I think Gortwog is a very, very nuanced kind of character, which is kind of sad because a lot of orcs in later Elder Scrolls games, they fall into the stereotype that they're just these barbarians that, you know, they don't exactly have a lot of character after a while. Like, they just do, you know, like, oh, they're all Fighters Guild dudes, and they're all just kind of, they hate people, they want to kill humans, and it does kind of, like, ruin their characters, I guess, but it makes sense in some aspects, but at the same time, a lot, it's like, nah. Because in the end of the day, I think the orcs are misunderstood, but, wait a minute, there it is. I was like, there's a locked door in here, I knew it. There's a lot of misunderstanding to the orcs. They don't have a lot of well respected by most races in Tamriel. And I feel bad for them. I genuinely do. You know, that's something I really appreciate about Daggerfall's story, is I can sympathize with a lot of the characters. That's the best and worst part. I can't sympathize anything with the nobility of Wayrest. They're all just inbred psychopaths. I don't think anybody... Well, I'm sure they're not inbred, but it wouldn't shock me if they were. Got some fucking nasty-ass looking crazy Habsburg jaw times 20, like, people, probably. I wouldn't be shocked. But as far as it goes, I don't think that the orcs are bad. You'll hear in this game quite a bit that the orcs were at war, and Gortwog initially explains later on too, but I can't spoil it. I don't want to ruin it. It's a special feeling that I love about this game that really makes me appreciate its nuances. And also, like I said, it was made in a time where these kinds of stories weren't very common. Games didn't have a lot of expectation. Games were still niche. This kind of a game was meant for crazy people who liked crazy things, basically. There was no expectation to be popular or accessible or even difficulty-wise normalized. You know, this kind of a game was more or less just reserved for people who wanted it. And that's why streamlining is such a... It's a double-edged sword. I mean, in one aspect, you have games like Morrowind, which everyone goes gaga over. Which, it's a fucking great game, don't get me wrong, but it's got a lot of problems. Number one, it's not very... like... How do I put this? One of my biggest problems with Morrowind is it's not paced very well. It starts off very, very slow. And you know, I'm okay with a game starting slow. That's fine. I have no issue with that. I don't like when a game can take tens of 12s of hours to start picking up its pace. I mean, it's only because of a few things in Morrowind that I think drag it down. Number one, it's the damn pacing of movement. Yeah, there's fast travel, technically, but at the same time, there's kind of not, and that's a real turnoff for a lot of players, and I get it, you know, I really do. One problem I have specifically with it is the dungeon design. Even though it's really cool, once you've finished a dungeon, you have no reason to go back there, unless you're bored. Once you cleared a dungeon out, it's cleared forever. Morrowind, Daggerfall, Skyrim, and even Arena all have an aspect that dungeon crawling is an integral part of the piece. It's what keeps the combat flowing. It's what keeps you exploring and moving. And there's a lot of stuff to go back to. But a lot of it doesn't get used. And as much as I don't like Skyrim streamlining, I do appreciate the design. This is something I'll always compliment. Skyrim has wonderful world-to-player in itemization, right? Like, the player is always walking into new things, new characters, and just about every single place you poke your head into has something to look for, right? It's even if it's a basic Draugr dungeon, right? It's at least something. And to me, that is what makes Skyrim fun, but it's also manipulative because it plays on the mentality that you're going to go into every single place because it's convenient, rather than it's required. And if you think about how much of the main quest actually encompasses the world, it's not very much. It's generally about, what, 2 or 3 towns, and that's kind of about it. Like, Whiterun gets used, I think, twice. I don't think that the player is given enough time to be a freelancey scrub. In Morrowind, you had, like, no fucking house. Your house was wherever you decided to make it or claim after you killed the inhabitants, right? Or you actually could build your great house, but that wasn't like yours, that was for your guild, and that also had your guild buddies inside there to talk to, and they never left you alone. Unless you use mods to move them around to give yourself some damn privacy. There wasn't a lot of, like, player agency in that, right? You could make your home, like, out of somebody's you killed, but that's not exactly what I call okay, right? That's not something we normally want to do to people. So as far as it goes in Skyrim, I think one thing Skyrim has going for it that, you know, and this heavily borrows into Fallout 3 and New Vegas to an extent, the RPG approach they took there, where in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, you could basically just wander all over the place. There was always something in every single location that made it memorable. You know, there was like New Vegas, for example. New Vegas has shit that doesn't even have anything to do with anything. It's just there. And you can explore it if you want to. Or Fallout 3 has just random encounters that can happen. And then they don't have anything to do with the world. They're just shit happening outside of the player. And I love that. Oh, Framped, you're fine. You big whiny puss. So, there's a lot of stuff... Oh my god, he wants out there, but those people are out there and it's scaring him. It's really funny. He just doesn't get it, that they're not gonna leave because he's there. It's just really funny to watch. But yeah, in Skyrim, there's... You know, there's so many, like, doodads and, like, little pokey heady holes, like mines, right? So, mines have, like, what, ore rocks, and they always have a few bandits, and that's pretty much it, right? And as a player, you're inclined to do anything with them, because you're like, oh, cool, I'll grab my pickaxe, and then I'll just start getting it, and I can take some ore back. And then you take the ore back to your home, and then you take the ore into your home, and then you start crafting some bars, and then you use it on your smithing, and then you get your smithing up, and then you see what I mean? Like, there's always something you're doing. And all the content that you pass through has some bearing in what you're doing ultimately, which is slowly upgrading your character to a point where they just become so fucking unstoppable. And for me, that's something that Skyrim does well. What it doesn't do is let the player engage with things in their own ways. It's very streamlined that every single place is going to make you go into that area because you want something. Not because you have to, but because you want to as a player, not like on your own volition, because you know there's something in that area that's going to be scaled to your character that's potentially useful. Another thing that always comes to mind is dragon magic is fucking stupid, because all it is spells that take 3 dungeons or so to unlock the full use of, and that's the letter. So, this is what we came here for. Told you I knew what I was doing. Now, uh-oh, Richard! We have orcs spawn in. This always happens. These areas open up. Orcs start coming in. And that's not cool. So let's kill these dudes and grab the letter and get out of here. This is a lot of quests in the story are like this. And you can tell that we've actually gotten stronger because we're actually able to trade blows with these dudes. Earlier in the game, we couldn't do that. We get our ass kicked. So let's go ahead and I'll take that as loot too. Why not? And there we go. This is the letter. This is what we came here for. This is what the Emperor sent us in here for. So let's take a look at it. It's already been open, so it's not a huge deal. So you thought it was dick pics, right? Queen Minnesera, I have grave news. The totem of Tiber Septim has been found. You know what this means. The power behind Tiber Septim could be unleashed upon Tamriel again. Rumor has it that Lord Woodbourne, a minor lord of Wayrest, has possession of it. He will doubtless lose it soon. You must persuade him to turn it over to you or Lady Brisiena. The court of Wayrest has no love of King Lysandus, but you still have influence there. I'm asking you to use it on my behalf. Uriel Septim, Emperor of Tamriel. So, that's not a spicy dick pic at all now, is it? That is a little bit more serious information than you thought it was going to be, huh? So, yeah, the Totem of Tiber Septim, eh? Oh, I wonder what this random zombie in an orc dungeon is all about. That's probably important. I wonder if he is a crucial NPC. Stitched into the zombie's decaying flesh, you see the following message. Shriaki, it would be an honor to have you visit me in my demons at your convenience. I have a small matter that you are ideally suited for. As always, my servants will test your mettle. Feel free to dispense with them. They can always be raised again. The King of Worms, Master of Scourge Barrow. So, yep. Thanks, dude. You even gave us some gold. That's a real bro right there, okay? That's what a real bro does. Once we're a sufficient level and we've talked to the King of Worms with the Morgaia's wedding quest, we can do this. So, yeah. That's a lot of stuff, right? So we found this. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, yeah. So if we can go back to Minisera, which is where we need to go, we can also go to the King of Worms, which we'll do both. So let's go ahead and do just that. Actually, let's rest first. Now that zombie will spawn anywhere as long as you meet the requirements, by the way. Alright, let's go ahead and mark and recall. Well, I told you it would happen. It's just a matter of time, right? So, this is something that's nifty about Daggerfall Unity, is you can see that we can actually see the entrance and exit and where we're at. This does happen. I've done this before. We've all done it. Let's not beat around the bush. Now you get to see Seth backtrack out of a fucking dungeon. Oh boy, I bet you were expecting this. Hell. So if you also want to rewatch those segments, you can even figure out how I got in here too. Now, by the way, before I ever played Daggerfall for seriously, I used to actually not ever know about mark and recall. So, you're probably thinking, is that why Seth knows how to navigate dungeons so well? And the answer is yes. That is 100% why I know how to navigate dungeons so damn well, and it's because I used to do that. I used to fucking do that. So, okay, there's your indication. Bones, blood, and skulls. We need to get out of this damn dungeon, though, so we're not really worried about going and finding all that. So, by the way, Gortwog doesn't care that you read the letter. To him, he's like, fuck it, dude, I've already, you know, done something about that, because it's already open. There's no whatever, right? So, not a big deal if the letter gets out for him. So we need to go into the big boy room, which is over here. Man, you have no idea how nice this map is. Compared to old Daggerfall, this map is from heaven. The other one was good, but it does not help when you need it to sometimes. Just gotta go straight, right? Nope, other way, sorry. Yep. You just gotta check your map. If you check your map, you will always find the correct path you're going through. Also, in case you haven't noticed, I've marked out the areas that are dead ends. I've already marked the places I've been to. This is why I'm not getting lost. So, okay, yeah, we can go out this way. I can see how we're gonna get out of here. Is that on the... No? God damn it. That complicates things a bit. I thought that was connected to this. Let's double check. See, the ghosting is nice. This is something you couldn't do in the original. What happens if I go in here? Oh no, I'm dumb. Don't listen to me. This is the right way out. Don't listen to me, damn it. I don't know anything about Daggerfall. I'm dumb. This is not my game. I don't know anything about it. I just saw it was free and I downloaded it because it had titties in it. So I don't know, man. You know, that's a very true statement to probably a lot of people. I just wanted more hentai mods, damn it. I don't think there's any big titty hentai mods for this game. Not that I'm aware of, at least. I mean, this game's already got nudity in it. I don't think you need more. Well, you could always have more nudity. That's true. But in this game's case, it's not really necessary. So, okay. Here we go! We made it back. What's up, Gortwog? You're the best. Okay, so let's go ahead and access our wagon. You probably thought that was going to be a huge problem, didn't you? You probably honestly thought that I was going to get turned around and it was going to be a huge pain in the ass, and no, it's never that big of a deal. We'll deposit 7,000. Our wagon's getting kind of beefy, but that's fine. Now we'll go back out. We gotta go all the way back to fucking Daggerfall. This is why I was hoping I was smart instead of fucking Anchor, but I didn't. And yeah, this takes almost a month. A page girl bearing the crest of Sentinel stiffly presents you a crisply pressed envelope. Ignoring your queries, she turns and walks away. And yep, get used to that. Lothan... I'm pretty sure it's Morgaia. No, that's not what I want. Letter... No. Oh, here it is. Your presence in our court is desired before the end of the next season. Prince Lotan has recommended you with high praise. I await your arrival. So this is technically a timed thing. Frampt, can you not for 5 minutes? So we're going to do 2 birds with 1 stone here. Actually, we're going to do 3 birds with 1 stone. Wow! You're going to freak out? He's only doing that because he wants out, even though he knows it's not great outside right now. He still wants out there because he's dumb. And if anyone's ever curious, yeah, he has a lot of legitimate trauma issues from his past. My mom used to abuse him by, like, picking him up and throwing him into shit and locking him in rooms. So, of course, he has a lot of issues, if you couldn't tell. So, we have the King of Worms quest now. We have the painting quest, which is what it's called. And then we have turning in this one. And then we have the other letters quest that we can pick up while we're here. I don't think the others letters... I don't think any of these are timed. I do have a time limit of the next season to get done with this. So we gotta kind of hustle our ass to make sure we know what we're doing correctly. So let's... We'll do a mark here, just for now. If not, it's not going to matter. You're too far away. I'm sure I am. Vroom. Here we go. And we'll go in here. Shrihaki, this letter is dangerous! Gortwog has undoubtedly sold copies of it to everyone from Wayrest to the Underking. After all, if the powers of the Iliac Bay become embroiled in war over the totem, he stands to gain quite a lot. Go now. You have done your job. I am sure the totem will find its way into your life somehow. You seem to have a knack for such things. Just remember, the only safe master of the totem is the Emperor. So... she's not lying. Let's see if this is timed. I don't remember if it is. Shriaki, I do not even know how to approach this subject. I need you to promise me on your ancestors' honor that you will do what you can to help me and never breathe of what I say or what you see to anyone else. Anywhere. You swear? Sure. Oh, fuck. I trust the... Alright, we're not going to do that one. We'll do it later, because I'm on a bit of a time crunch here. Literally and metaphorically. Okay, let's just... do this first, and then we can We can do this. Okay, so we'll go to... Oh, fucking hell. A street urchin races up, calling, "Message for Shriaki from the man in gray!" The child runs off before you can grab him, breaking his legs, leaving you holding a note. Oh, this is a fun one. If you don't want to be dead as Lysandus, stop your investigations immediately. Do you really want to risk your life for a dead man? You're being fucking watched. Uh-oh. So you know what that means? Somebody's a little salty at what we've been doing. Not including theft. But, you know. So let's... Is it Wayrest or is it Sentinel? I can't remember. It is... Sentinel. Okay, Akarithi. So we're going to go to Sentinel. We are going to need to go in there. And I'm actually going to have to leave. So I'm going to have to... Like in real lives. So I'm going to have to... Well... Whoop! This gate can't stop me because I can't read. So this quest itself is not timed, but getting this quest is timed. So let's go ahead and dispel. Oh, levitate. We all miss you. We all do. So yeah, this... I have to leave in a few minutes, so... As in, like, I really do need to leave in a few minutes. I just don't want to fucking say, okay, next session, and then we have it all of a sudden, and I completely blank it and I don't. So that would suck. So I'm just going to stop it once I get to the castle itself, and then we can go ahead and move on. But yeah. So you can tell that Gortwog undoubtedly sold copies, which he did. And that's why Morgaya even knew about this in the beginning. So that's also why pretty much everybody in the political spectrum of the Iliac Bay knows about the letter. So... What? Oh, that's right. So now we also have... See that guy back there? This also starts us getting death threatened and harassed by various NPCs. So... Shit, man, I wonder which province they might be coming from. Could you take a guess? It's probably Wayrest. Alright, let me get in here, and I'm gonna get myself all up in the Queen's business. Cause, yo, top of the crown, rape the dream. Sorry, top of the crown, rape the queen. You fail, mistaken, the cradle can't shape the dream. Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna leave it here, and I'll see ya in the next one with these hunky boys seeing my way out.